Hi everyone, welcome to the Tutors Student Influencers podcast. Today I'm here with Anugrah. Let's start with just basic introduction, like where you were born and where you're studying.
Um, Sorry. So I was born in Nepal, in Patan Doka, in the Patan Hospital, about 17 years ago in 2004. So I'm 17 currently. I study in Rato Bangala. I've been studying since grade one, and I'm now doing A levels. Just reached A2, and the stream that I'm studying is pure science. So that's just biochem, physics, GP, and then maths, pure maths, which is like pretty much compulsory. Yeah, that's about it.
And I also know that you really like basketball and music. Do you want to talk more into
Okay.
it?
That took me by surprise. Yeah, so basketball and music, they've both been like really big parts of my life, especially lockdown, like in the lockdown, because like there's a lot of free time. And then especially now because we're in our term break, right before we're going to A2. So yeah, it's been like a very big part. I've been playing basketball since like I was grade three, and we had like hopes to make the NISA tournament, and then jitum bhaneko थियो, but then COVID and lockdown happened, so we haven't been able to do that. Apart from that, music, I've been very active. We've got like concerts coming up and stuff. So yeah, so I've got that planned out. So yeah, music and basketball a lot.
Hopefully it
Yeah.
works out great. Any team you're rooting for that's still in the run for the NBA trophy this season?
Okay, so I'm not a bandwagon, I know, but I've always been like supporting the Brooklyn Nets, and then like we know
Always
now, like
been
it's
Nets.
overpowered now.
Okay,
Yeah.
always been one. It's way better.
Okay,
Yeah.
actually, not always. It was more like I was always a Kyrie supporter, and then like when
Okay,
Kyrie
okay,
was like yeah. So like, but then
okay.
yeah. So you went to the Nets, and then like I was still supporting him like since the season where like KD wasn't playing at all, and then like now we're like facing other problems in the playoff right now. We just lost that game like Azerbaijan,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. It does seem kind of difficult, oily, but I
Mhm.
hopefully they'll do better.
Yeah.
Let's get into the real deal that we're gonna talk about. Let's start
Mhm.
with brief about A levels. What do you think A levels is according to you? Like your understanding.
So let's just I'll go into two thought processes. Let's just describe what A levels is, but I'm pretty sure people already know what A levels is. So it is just a form of education in which like it's overseen by the Cambridge education system, right? And then like under that they've got certain courses and syllabuses that they've like set up. But for me, Cambridge is much more like apart from the traditional education system that we're used to in Nepal, which is like SE, like Kontaparni. It, am I allowed to swear? No, right? Okay.
Yeah, you can go on.
Contemporary stuff. Contemporary stuff. This is more about understanding to some extent, where questions do not ever repeat in exams. It's always whatever you've learned, you have to like reflect it on what you're like on the exams. So it's more about understanding rather than like memorizing stuff. So yeah, that's what A levels is for me. It's more about understanding the subject being taught.
Yeah, it is pretty different. Exams or when you get the formula booklets, then the
Hmm.
fact that
Hmm.
you have to remember the formulas, all you got to do is know how to use them.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you decide to take A levels and not plus two?
Uh,
And when did
so
you decide? Why
yeah.
did they keep you
So
knew that you wanted?
um I think it was pretty much a normal transition for me because I was A1 about like one, two, three, four, and then like C they if you study in 10, then you see they go into 11 and 12 A level in RBS. So it was like a more smoother transition. But for example, if I was to take medicine, then I would obviously opt for like plus two because like everything it like just makes sense. But then for me, like it was more that I was going to study abroad, so it was more like logical for me to take A level. It was also more of like a natural transition from 10 to 11.
Okay, you told me you're taking physics, chemistry, and biology as the main
Hmm.
subjects. Would you explain more into it? Like, why are you taking it? What do you want to do about it?
Um. Let's in that question, let's go into like why I took pure science to begin with, right? So bio is like always been like very intriguing to me, especially because you kind of like be are able to relate to it. If it's like something
Yeah,
about the human body, like you're like, oh, okay, that's how my veins work, or like that's how the I don't know, that's how the valves work, or something like that. So like bio was very natural to me. It was something that I wanted to take. Physics is something that I've been like pretty good at maths, so physics wasn't really an issue because it is just maths and formula mix, and also because it's pretty interesting because then you learn about the laws about why things are moving the way they move or why they're not moving or stuff like that. So it was something that was also pretty for my interest. I took bio and physics, but chem not so really. Chem was more of like it's if you take bio then you have to take chem, right? It's like they're
yeah,
mixed. And then so chem was no hate on chem if people like chem, but then like chem is very hard. But then like it's part of the syllabus. You need the chemical knowledge to like understand everything else. Yeah. So yeah.
yeah. I don't think there's a lot of people that love chem, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's a
um,
handful, and then like yeah.
yeah. So how do you think that A levels helps you grow as a person? Like in high school, how do you think you've been a different person than you compare that normal person that would have taken like plus two? What would have
Um,
been like?
Personally speaking, I can't like speak for the plus two side because I don't know anyone who's taken it, right. So I can't make the still comparison. But what I do know that is there is a different level of freedom in A level. It's almost scary. Whereas I like the teachers just like leave you alone. Like back in like nines and tens, they were like, if you don't do your homework gara, it's like not more parents what I didn't. So I did say it's more like if you want to do it, do it. If you don't, then that's on you. That's like your grades are dropping. You're not going to get into a good college. So it's more like right now I've become more responsible, but not because I want to, but because I've had to become responsible. So yeah.
Yeah, and not because you're being forced to do it too.
No,
Like,
no, no, no.
yeah,
Yeah, and also maybe for like for from your parents perspective also like they're more like oh what's our tulo boy so cute, like you give them like the freedom but then like like there's like some burden on your shoulders to do good too.
yeah, yeah. I get it. Um, like, do you have any like important life skills that you've learned in high school, or this or not, that you feel like it's good to be shared? Like any suggestions to the people?
um I've always been a misfit, like
Misread. Okay.
so like I don't really feel good like giving testo, advice on like, oh, you should do this because like I've never really been something like that. But something that I realized is that um relationships with your teacher is like very important because like I suffered from it, and then as in suffered I meant like if you have a negative understanding about the teacher then the subject becomes automatically boring like पढ़ने गाह्रो हुन्छ क्या?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like
Definitely.
yeah, and then like I had that issue with a teacher. Let's not name because like why, right? I had an issue with a teacher, and the subject became so boring for me to the point where I had to take tuitions, and it was like a very bad. It's not a subject you take tuitions for, and it like
Yeah.
yeah, and then like for now, like right now in A levels, I realized that how good your relationship is with the teacher, right? And then the subject becomes much more interesting. So it is very important to have a good first impression on the teacher, but also have a good impression of the teacher on yourself.
Since we've talked about how we have to be responsible ourselves, A-levels, what kind of like time management routine do you have? Like, could you share it with us? Like, how do you
Um,
go on with your classes and your day-to-day activities?
so like since right now it's like all online, right? Because you're all at home. So I feel like we've got a lot of free time. Like normally, if it was physical, we would have 7 to 8 periods a day, and then we would have double period chem and then practical and stuff. But right now we've got a lot of time on our hands. So what I try to do is there's like certain gaps in your subjects. Like for example, you've got a class from 9 to 9:50, and then you'll have another class at 11 to 11:50. So that time gap that you have, I try to do my homeworks then. So that by the time I finish my homeworks then, so like after the whole like classes is done, I've got like time for either my club activities or like I can just like revise, or like instead I can just like study for a test, which there's a lot of tests. Yeah. So I try to finish everything within the day, so that by the time where it's like you're actually supposed to do homework, you actually get to like study extra.
You talked about club activities, and I really feel like it's something way more happening for students that are on A-level streams than on plus two streams, right? It's something that,
Okay.
let's just say, is unique because growing up, I did not know ki there used to be clubs in colleges. And
Okay.
now that, like we've been through, could you please talk more about club activities and like how it like helps you and like what do you
Um,
do?
I think clubs baneko is just like if you have like a common goal or you have a common interest, then you just join, apply for the club, and then you can apply to as many clubs as you want. But as a club member, you're obviously expected to be active to some extent. And then what clubs have taught is when I was just like a normal, like, not an executive member, what it taught was that almost like there are other people with these interests and then they're willing to work with you to form a common goal. Okay, so and what this was um, back when I was just like a member of the chess club, we had like almost a tournament of sorts in which like we would organize it, and then like it was almost like very fun to see about like online of lockdown mapani we were still doing club activities. Okay? And then as an executive member of the music club and then of the chess club, it's more about responsibility. Okay? Like as the club head, no one's going to tell you to do anything. Okay? And then like all of the people are like depending on you to make the club fun for them. Okay? So yeah, so responsibility comes back to responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility, and I'd also point out organizations. Like
Mm.
you'd have you could like organize something, and that's something that you learn by doing it and not by studying. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like. What do you have like advices for people that are like ninth or 10th grade? Ma, like, could you say like three pieces of advice for high schoolers?
Ninth and tenth wanting to come into A levels or
There's that is just figuring it out. They could be
okay.
wanting a plus two or A level. Like, what do you want to say to them?
I would say first of all, like I think what fuels where you want to go is what you want to be. I know is that's what it really is, because like yeah, well, what you really want to be in the future is what fuels where you want to go. And honestly, for me, it was like pretty daunting. Nines and tens, like there are people saying that, oh, mo to medicine part a doctor bondinsu, engineer bonds, and like I'm like playing basketball or singing, I know, and I'm like, wait, what? I don't know what I want to do. So like it's more of like there is a certain responsibility to knowing what you want to do. Tara, take it kind of easy. Okay? Whatever you're taking, it doesn't really have to like judge what you're going to do in the future. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's yeah.
Also, how do you think that A levels, like in terms of examination and in terms of like coursework, course load, is how do you think it differs from plus two? Like with the idea that you have of plus two.
Um, one thing that I can say is in terms of differences, I think there is significantly less you need to memorize, right, for the test.
Yeah.
But then, like, there is much more of conceptual understanding. So people that are used to like just contemplating, उनीहरूलाई अलिकति चाहिँ गाह्रो हुन्छ when they come into A level, because it's more of like understanding. And then, like for example, grade 10 ma we would like SE ko exam ma there would just be like a 2 marks question, which is like state Archimedes ko principle, right? Like a question like that isn't going to come. Okay? It's going to be like 5 grams of water has been displaced. And like you have to use the principle to like realize kati weight, let's say kati mathi gyo, okay? So it's something like, so like that is one thing. Like it's harder to almost prepare for an exam because you don't know what type of question is coming, right? And अर्को चाहिँ in terms of preparation, there's this thing called past papers. क्या? It's like SE के like त्यो हाम्रो data booklets like त्यो set हुन्छ नि, set
How's
जस्तै हो
that?
क्या. अनि अनि त्यसमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने त्यो पनि the only reason you would do that is to gain an understanding क्या, किनभने those questions don't get repeated in an exam क्या. So like अब DLE मा त like कोही कोही बेला टिचरले भन्छ नि यो 4 चोटि आइसक्यो यो त आउँछै आउँछ भन्छ नि, like A level ko IG like A levels मा चाहिँ you can be like आउँछ क्या, if it comes again maybe the same idea behind the question can come, but then the question won't repeat. Okay? So you can prepare yourself with past papers, but you can't really like be really prepared.
You can be like यो क्वेसन त मैले गरिसकेको छु म गरिहाल्छु त्यसै.
Okay, but then there's like a hack ish. It's a hack, right? Um, Testहरूमा चाहिँ like teachersहरूले past paperबाटै दिन्छ क्या. Get it? So if you want to score good marks, then you do past papers. किनभने past papers मा चाहिँ there's a high chance the teacher is going to repeat क्या. Exam मा चाहिँ repeat हुँदै हुँदैन. The test मा चाहिँ repeat हुन्छै हुन्छ क्या. किनभने the teacher isn't going to like go through like hundreds of past papers and see the idea behind it and then like modify it and stuff. The test मा चाहिँ exactly test मा चाहिँ you will get repeated questions, but then exam मा चाहिँ couldn't repeat them.
I think it is more because the teachers want you to prepare for the kind of exam that you're going to face than actually
Like the idea.
give you an
Yeah.
exam. Yeah. Um, what do you think is the best part of studying A levels?
What's the best part? I think if it was physical, right? You've got a lot of free time, okay, even in like between the breaks. Like घरमा बस्दा like मेरो त्यो 9 को class भएर like 11 मा class हुन्छ नि. त्यस्तै like स्कुलमा पनि त्यही हुन्थ्यो क्या. Like there would be like multiple breaks, so there would be a lot of time to socialize with people, play basketball and everything, and that would be like very fun. But then like अब online मा त्यो छैन. But apart from just fun, I guess A level is like much more like intimidating, but also like relaxing to some extent because like if I know the concept, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I know how to do this question. But then like when I was studying in SE, there was like some questions that even if I like did anything, like contai parnu parne huन्थ्यो क्या त्यस्तो. So it's more like intimidating, but also relaxing, I guess.
Yeah. Let's get more into the subject parts. You said you're from pure science based, and I also know that A levels has like different choices. Okay, I think that's one of the characters of A levels of freedom of choice that you can take
Yeah.
economics, business, and physics. With Lost to Cola, you only have like two or three options. I know. How do you explain more into the choices of subjects you can have, like how you can like prepare yourself with the subjects?
So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Like A level is like very liberal in terms of like the subjects. Like किनभने plus two मा चाहिँ it's like block pure commerce, pure science, like whatever. It's like very that either you fit into that thing or you don't, right? But for A level, say it's like for example, there could be people who like econ, but they also like bio, right? Or there could be like people who like econ, and they could also be people who like physics. And then like normally you couldn't be able to mix that, right? Because it's either pure commerce or pure science. But then
Yeah.
for A levels, it's very liberal, okay? I mean, and then it's almost also at your own risk, yeah, because some universities don't accept that combo, right? Like because like you don't like have all of the required pieces to like put you into the university, but it's more like it's your interest, man. Okay, it's like I like physics, I like econ, I like business. I'll study all of this. I also like computer science. I'll study all of this and stuff. So त्यसमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने there's this thing called credits के level मा. I think you know about credits, right? So credits मा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने you need minimum 7 credits, or like 9. I could be like misinformed. You need either 7 or 9 credits, and you can go overboard with the credits. That means you can study as many subjects as you want, but you need to like get the minimum. Okay? So there are some people who've taken like 13 credits or 14 credits, but then like and still like passed with like good grades. But then like so yeah, there is a certain amount of subjects you need to take, but apart from that, you can add any subject you want. Like you could add bio and then like mix everything else.
Yeah, I believe there's like when you're applying to universities, you need a minimum of three classes of A level. Maximum that you can go any amount. And the three classes generally can be anything, but if you're taking a specialized degree, then they'll have
Yeah.
some pre-requirements. Some universities will let you do pre-classes before classes, before you start your classes. But generally, taking A levels, you can also transfer your credits, university, and a lot of A level students graduate in 3 years because a course of a course
Yeah.
is just done because of their transfer credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Final question, or
Yeah.
Vanamala, what were you going to say?
I was about to like talk about these subject choices. One thing that I appreciate to some extent, like because of my sister, I guess, because she was also like Bokhare, she was through a college application process. Okay? So what I appreciate is RBS makes you take math compulsorily, okay? Like further maths, like which is
For
kind
the
of doesn't make
maths,
sense if you
pure
like
maths.
look at it first glance, because like maths, like they'll make you
Okay.
take maths, and it doesn't like really make sense. But then like when you apply like abroad, then like त्यसमा त requirement maths like हुन्छ रहेछ. So like people who don't take maths, like they have to like do it again by themselves. So like although it may seem like kind of surprising why like RBS is like or A level is making you take maths compulsorily, it like makes sense रहेछ later on.
But the maths in A levels also, I think, isn't this too difficult. Okay, like
Oh no, 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 yeah.
it's really easily passable if you just focus on classes and do some practice. Like you don't
Yeah,
need to
right
put in a
now.
lot of
Oh,
hours. Like I
yeah.
think mechanics mostly supports your physics classes. It's like kind of similar, and this thing.
Mm. So like especially now, like online what I notice is like there's a lot of like void of attention. People aren't really paying attention. But if you do pay attention, it's extremely easy to get good grades. Kya hoile se. All you have to do is do your work, and then like even if you're remotely like participating in the class, you understand the concepts. Kya. So yeah, I don't know about further maths because I'm just going into A2, right? But like A level maths was extremely easy in my opinion. Not anything compared to 10 ko like optional. Actually 9 ko trigonometry was the hardest for me, and then like 10 ko trig got easier, and like A1 ko maths is like ekdam easy lage मलाई.
Yeah,
But then we're coming
bada
into calculus now, so I don't know.
10 A levels Sara, it just feels easier that the maths that we're
Yes,
doing.
yes,
It's
yes.
just yeah. And talking about online classes, how do you find it different? Like you said, attention being also like there's a talk like around the whole world that online classes are deteriorating your studies like in a way because people can't focus really. How do you think it's been affecting you?
Um, One thing I've realized surprisingly is online classes are much more like energy consuming. Like I have no idea how, because we had like just before like our second lockdown started, say I'm like physical classes पनि भएको थियो कि एकछिनको लागि, because like practicals के any like physical classes पछि like I would still be like energized. I would come home and like do stuff, right? But after like online classes, like after the day ends, I'm like out, like I'm like so like drowsy, and then like
Okay.
I try to work out, right? So and then like obviously it's like a bani, but then like एकदमै गाह्रो हुन्छ क्या, because like especially like my posture like it's very like bad, like because of online. But I mean like that's the best we can do, right? Oily kolai, it's like the best solution, but is in terms of like long term solutions, I don't see it as a long term solution.
Okay. To like let's just try to conclude. Do
Okay.
you have any suggestions for like 9, 10 good students that are thinking A levels plus two or like A levels sochirasa bhane ni the kind of combination of topics that they can take? Like what are the suggestions you have for them?
Um, so I'm going to like talk about like two different types of people, right? So if there's like a type of like there's a crowd who's definitely like focused on doing medicine, like they know they want to do medicine. Like I don't know if it's because of their parents or because they want to help people, but then like if they want to do medicine, then +2 is the way for you, because unless you're like stacked with money, right? People are you can't like study outside. It's very expensive unless you get like a
Yeah.
really good scholarship. So you have to, and then even after you finish A level, we've had like a couple of dai didis who are like studying फेरि नेपालको बोर्डमा क्या MBBS गरिरहेको छ क्या. So it's like they study, they finish Cambridge, could do like do certifications, and then they come back to do this, which is like अलिकति illogical. And we've also had like I've had a friend who's like who's saying that, oh bro, I think I'm going to drop गरेर बरु म MBBS पो गर्न जान्छु होला भनिरहेको छ क्या, like A1 सकेर. So if you're doing math, if you're doing med and you know that's what you want to do, then definitely +2 is the way for you, because like you're more accustomed to like exams कस्तो questions सोध्छ, and like there's the पढ्ने style obviously. But if you're like you don't know what you want to do, you're more focused on going out, like you don't want to stay here anymore, you want to go abroad and study, then plus like A levels is definitely for you. It gets you more accustomed with Baira Kasuri Portsa. It gets you more accustomed to standardized testing, which is like SATs, PSATs. stuff like that, TOEFL, or it gets you more like accustomed. Obviously, you have to put in the work for the SATs, but it's like much more easier when you're doing A level. Okay, so if you don't know what you want to do, and if you're but then you know that you want to leave the country, then A level is the way. But if you're doing medicine or engineering and stuff, then plus two is the way. I think so.
Okay. So I think we'll finish early. I know it was
Okay.
great talking to you.
Okay.
You were very insightful in a lot of things. Thank you for attending.
I try to be. Okay. How are you related to Navadip? Dayo,
Uh, Azur,
how are you related to Navadip?
Novudit.
Navadip.
Oh, so you know Novudit? He's a
हजुर.
batch junior to me.
उसै मलाई तपाईँको यस्तो छ अनि घर आऊ भन्थ्यो.
Okay, yeah. I did A-levels Brain School. Took further maths.
ए
Yeah, I'm currently studying USA math. And yeah,
you're
if
in
you
US, but you're back, I think, for the
oh,
pandemic.
later, yeah, it's lockdown and I came back online classes. It's the same thing. But yeah, if you ever have questions, you can just email me. I think you got my university email, so I'll be using it.
Yeah. I had a question like about like studying in abroad. Like you did study abroad and you fit out back, right? Or like
Also, I'm still
yeah,
studying there. I'll go back
yeah.
August Mafiri.
So like I had a question like were you there like to put like Asian violence stuff on the like where were you
Asian
on that
violence
side?
stuff, the violence stuff, what goes on is these things are always there, right? No? The thing is,
Mm-hmm.
if you watch
Yeah, high
Netflix
stuff.
enough, if you watch
Uh,
Netflix enough, you figure out key there's this Asian hate that they think everybody's from China, and like there's this hate that everybody's from like black people and like Asians, and it's kind of there, it's kind of not there. You can see it in people's eyes. You can like feel it at
okay.
times, but it's also good. It's like how Nepali aunties are. It's kind of like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
The same, so
yeah. Okay.
it's the same thing. It's
So
like
it's
the
like
older people,
ingrained inside them type.
the aunties, the uncles that are more hating towards, and like the normal typical college school student generally won't be like that.
So they're like more like liberal, like I guess.
Yeah, they're liberal, and the hate isn't as it seems. Okay? It's just
Mm.
like अहिले
A handful,
technological
a handful.
advancementहरू आएर like people are being more careful towards it. No, but say it was definitely way worse पहिले than it's right now. Okay, it's so much better अहिले. होइन? And अहिले it's just getting more attention. Like it is bad. No, I'm not saying कि attention
Yeah,
पायो भन्दैमा it's not that bad. It is bad. तर it's not as bad as it sounds.
yeah. So it's like almost like overhyped, already, like to some
Override,
extent.
override. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
answer.
Look, have a great
Okay,
A-levels.
thank
Bye.
you. About you too. Okay,
Okay.
bye. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.